can you hear me in the back row? Raise your hands if we're good. Okay. Again, I'm a low talker. Before we get started on this strange talk, how many of you are currently how many of you current managers? Hands up. Okay, target demographic, sweet. How many of you been managers for 0 to 3 years? 3 to 5, 5 or more. Okay, thank you. I am now calibrated. Get it? Okay, here we go. You sitting down? You are. So about 4 months ago, I opened a rec. I needed to hire someone. So I wrote the rec, wrote the job description, went and begged the CFO to actually go ahead and approve the rec. I opened it. I posted it. We interviewed about 50 people. First round interviews, 50 people. We call screened about 50, got about 30 in for first round. We did another round. It was 10 folks. We got down to 1 person about 3 weeks ago. And then we argued about the negotiation for the offer, and they accepted, and they started. And you started, and you're here now. I'm so happy that you're here. Welcome to the company. It's going to take a good, solid quarter, to figure this place out, this company that you're at now, this brand new company. I understand the importance of first impressions, and I know you want to get a win get a check in the win column, but this place is full of humans that are complex, in a complex organization. Take your time to meet everyone. Hi, Benji. Meet everyone, go to every meeting, write things down, ask all of the questions about all those confusing acronyms and emoji. Word of warning. There's this period of time that happens in every new hire cycle, and it's going to happen with you, because you just got here. I'm so glad you're here. I call it the dip of despair. Starts right here, because you're here on the first day, and you're like, what is this guy talking about? He's kind of high energy. He's got a lot of things to say. Everything's going to be perfect for about another 30 days. It's the honeymoon. You haven't let us down. We haven't let you down. It's the honeymoon. It's so perfect. You're like, this is great. I love working at the company. Everything's great. And about 45 days in, this is what's going to happen. You're going to be like, what the fuck happened here? What? This is not what I stood up. This is not what I signed up for. And it's despair, because you're at the honeymoon and you come down to this state of realizing, like, well, we're humans who are doing things, and that's what everyone's doing. And yes, there's special parts, but it's kind of a letdown. This is not a rational state. Every time that a manager comes to me and says, oh my gosh, we got a problem with Alan here, I'm like, how long's Alan been here? And she says, he's been here 45 days. I say, don't talk to me for another 45 days or so. Because what's going to happen, and what we're going to be talking about today, is getting to this very sweet state, this steady state of what the job is. And it takes about 90 days or so. And my job as your manager is to get you there as quickly as possible. One way that we can do this is by quickly defining our relationship. The following is a user guide for you on how I work. It captures my intent is to accelerate you through the dip of despair. These are expectations that I have of myself, not necessarily of you. We're going to talk about 3 things. We're going to talk your average week, my North Star principles. What happens when I run into a decision? What can you expect me to do based on what I value? And then nuance and errata. Errata? I should have looked that up. Or this should be titled, I'm kind of weird. I have quirks, as we all do. So our first week is going to be this. One day I will die. It'll be sad. But on the tombstone it will say, Rands, Lopp, Michael, whatever your name is, loving father, great dad, loves one-on-ones, has them every week, 30 minutes no matter what. I am deeply, and I love one-on-ones. They're incredibly important to me. My job, one of my jobs as a manager, is to build a credible signal network in the organism. And our one-on-one, which happens 30 minutes every week, no matter what, is a time to do that. We're not going to be talking about status here. There's a million tools. There's a parade of tools like Slack where I can go get status. That's why those tools exist. They generate status for me to go consume. I can look at Jira. I can look at Slack. Any of these other tools. Why in the world would we spend these 30 minutes talking about anything other than matters of substance? What matters of substance? Good idea. Good question. What we're going to do, what you already have, is a channel. It's a private Slack channel between you and I. And in that channel, it's not for a discussion. It's just our running list of everything that we want to talk about. And anytime you have an idea or I have an idea, we just post it in there. Bullet, idea. Which means we have things every week that we can talk about. This thing is making some noises. It's okay. I'm going to move over here and see if it's... That's better. Okay. Similar to the one-on-one, we have a staff meeting. 60 minutes every week, no matter what. We start with a delicious appetizer of metrics. It's delicious. Some version of metrics. Recruiting, reliability, performance, any number of things. We're going to spend 15 minutes with you and your peers and I going over some piece of metrics every single week, rotating through it, looking at the metrics, having a discussion, seeing how it compared to the last time we saw it, digging in, assigning action items. Like the one-on-one, we're going to have conversations of substance again. What are the things that are affecting all of engineering? Big, huge topics. There's a shared document for this, which is a Google Doc. Could be a Slack channel if you want to do it, for all of us. We can go and do exactly the same thing we do in the one-on-ones. If you have a question, if you want to talk with something that's not in a one-on-one but in the team, you're going to put it in here. My definition of a meeting is there's an agenda and or a published agenda and or intended purpose and the appropriate amount of productive attendees. Also, a responsible party running the meeting to a schedule. That sounds delicious. If you send me a deck beforehand and give me enough time, I will always read the deck. It is absurd to me when I'm sitting in a meeting and they send out the deck the night before and they read me the deck. I will read the deck. And if I don't do it, I will tell you we should be able to jump into that meeting where there's a deck that you sent me into page 7 where I start having questions. Meetings start on time for a reason. I worked at this other company many years ago. It rhymes with Snapple. And at Snapple, every meeting started 10 minutes late. And we all thought that was kind of cute. And I'm sure what happened many, many years ago, it's someone important, kept on showing up to a meeting 10 minutes late, and it became Snapple standard time. And it was just cool. It was fine. It was okay to waste everyone's time who arrived there on time. With meetings with me, if I'm there, I would like them to start on time, even if everyone's not there yet. If I'm running that meeting, I will start that meeting on time, sometimes by myself. It's super awkward. You walk in and I'm talking to nobody. But you won't do it again. If a meeting completes its intended purpose before we're done, let's stop. Let's give the time back to everyone and move on to the next thing. If it's clear 25 minutes into a 30-minute meeting, we are nowhere close to done, let's stop. Let's say we're not going to get this done right now. Let's schedule the meeting to follow on. Don't run over. Respect everyone's time. Give people time to get to the next meeting. My calendar is public for a reason. It's a small little thing. But everything on my calendar, I share my calendar. There are some meetings which are private. They have to be private. If you would like to ask me about them, I will tell you to the best of my ability. If there's sometimes I can't tell you. When I see a private calendar of a manager or an executive, I know why they're doing it, but it's a power play. And it creates distrust. Because 80% of what I'm doing should be visible to the rest of the world. And that's why I run with a public calendar. And again, if you have a question about it, if there's something which is like, what is that going on meeting? What's the title of that? I will tell you. Feedback. At our company, there's a formal feedback cycle. Every 6 months, we'll have a formal feedback session. You'll get a document from me about a month before, a couple weeks before, which will say, hey, this is what I've observed. We don't have OKRs yet because you just started. Welcome aboard. But we will go through OKRs, objectives, and key results, and we'll have a conversation. It's a draft. When I send it to you, the idea is that we have a meaty conversation. It's not done yet. We should have a conversation about that. At the company, we use OKRs. OKRs stand for objectives and key results, a goal and how we're going to measure it. Everyone gets really wound up about the religion around OKRs. People, they're a tool. They're not a religion. They're just a means of having a structured conversation. Different parts of our company may be using them in different ways. That may frustrate you, but everyone is going to apply the tool as they see fit to their culture and what they need to get done. Feedback is a practice that we'll practice. At the end of this, our first one-on-one, I'm going to say something. I'm going to say, do you have any feedback for me? And in the history of ever, no one has ever said anything. They're like, nope, that was great. You talk a lot. Next one-on-one, a week later, 30 minutes, at the end, I'll say, do you have any feedback for me? You're like, nope, still going on. Next one, next one, next one. You are going to realize, after weeks of me saying the same thing, that I'm going to keep doing this. And at some point, you're going to say, okay, that all hands, you were just not on. You were off. I don't know why. And I'm like, thank you. In that moment, we've done something amazing. We've built just a smidge of trust. Trust is not one thing that I'm going to do. It's 6,000 things I do over the course of the next 6 months to build trust with you. Feedback is one of the best ways to actually go and do this. We're going to practice this a lot. Our goal is to disagree. Disagreement is feedback. And the sooner we learn to efficiently disagree, the sooner we're going to trust each other and respect each other more. Ideas do not get better with agreement. They get better when you disagree with me. There'll be Q&A. You can do it all over there. Okay, speed round. You can Slack me 24/7. I like responding quickly. It's my great joy. It's a problem. I am not expecting this of you. I am not expecting this of you, but I like to do this. It's one of the things I love to do. I travel a bunch. If I'm traveling, I will give you notice of said travel in advance. I will tell you when I'll be in the office, when I won't be in the office. Same thing as the calendar. All of our meetings will occur, albeit with time zone considerations and jet lag nightmares. I love my job. If I don't love my job, I usually quit, which means I like working on weekends. I like it because I like what I do. This is my choice. Do not read anything into me working on weekends about what you are choosing to do with your time on weekends. I do not expect you to work on weekends unless you want to. It's your choice. I might Slack you things. And unless it says urgent and it's blinking with dancing penguins and alarms on it, it almost never does that. I do not expect an answer until you are back in the office. I take vacations. You should too. Disconnected from work, paradoxically, is when I do my best work. You know that time when you get in the shower and you're like, whoa, this is kind of strange new job. I kind of love it. I'm in day 45 and it's not going really well, blah, blah, blah. It's that time when you let it all go and you let your mind wander that you truly find insight. And you can see obviously broken things in a new light. You need to disconnect from the world. Okay, that's the week. My North Star principles, or values, I'm not sure what the right word is. I believe the following. I'm going to say I believe a lot. I believe that happy, informed humans, I believe that happy, informed, and productive humans build fantastic product. I've seen it many times over and over again. I optimize for the humans. Other leaders are going to optimize for different things. That's cool. I'll give an example. At the company, an internal transfer is your choice, the individual's choice, not all the managers. Why do I do this? I do this because I want the individual contributor to feel that she or he has agency over their career. So the rule is, after you've been here a while, like not on day 2, you can talk to any other manager in the company. You get 1 free chat. Go talk. Talk with Tia. Tia, what's going on in that team. Then my ask of you is that you actually go talk to your manager, and if there's something there, to work out a conversation, have a conversation, meet your commitments, but ultimately, two things will happen. Your manager will try to convince you to stay. Almost every time, because they've got things and OKRs and Lopp's kind of crazy and all this sort of stuff, but they'll try to convince you to stay. But the other thing is, it's your choice. This is a small protocol that we have at this company, which reiterates one thing I value, is that the humans have agency. They get to choose their path. Other leaders will maximize the business, the technology, and any other important facets of the company, but ideological diversity, all diversity, is a key to an effective team. All perspectives are relevant, and we need all of those, but my bias is towards building productive humans. If there are no humans here, I have exactly no job. My wife likes to remind me that I hated meetings for the first 10 years of my professional career. She's right. I've wasted a lot of time in bad meetings, in poorly run meetings run by bad managers. As an engineer, I remain skeptical of managers, even as a manager. While I believe managers, we are essential for the scaling organization, I do not believe that we have a monopoly on leadership, and I work hard to build other constructs at the company and opportunities in our teams for non-managers to effectively lead. At the company, we have two tracks. We have the IC track and we have the manager track. They're both public, both visible, and they'll just tell you how you can go up them. We also have roles specifically on the IC track, which are designed to give ICs opportunities to lead. One of them is a technical lead. A technical lead is an obvious thing right now. It's a person who doesn't have any direct reports, but they are responsible for part of the technology. It's there to give folks the first step towards learning leadership skills. Number two, TLM, technical lead manager. This is sort of a hybrid role, but the reason we do this is you're still there and you're in engineering, you're still coding 50% of the time, but you can have a maximum of 3 direct reports. The idea is to give you this situation where you can still do what you're great at relative to being an IC, but you can also try out the management thing. And most importantly, when you realize this job is hard and you don't want to do it anymore, there is zero stigma when you raise your hand and you say, Lopp, I don't want to do this. I've been doing it for 7 months. This is not my jam. We go, great. It's another engineer who's learned that the management thing is hard, and they're going to go be a better engineer, and they're understanding more of the nuance of leadership. I believe in systems. I also believe I need some water. Thank you, Shivani. This is a little abstract thing that I believe. I reduce all complex things, including all of you, into knowable systems. I love naming things. That's like my jam, is naming things. I think in flowcharts. Thank you so much. I reduce everything down to boxes and arrows. I take great joy in attempting to understand how these usually mostly infinitely complex systems work and how the flowcharts all fit together. I like telling you about these discoveries. You will know when I'm doing this because I will run to the whiteboard and I will start drawing boxes and arrows. It's the best. It's so much fun. Organizational design is something I love to think about. Most one-on-ones, my team can tell you, we're usually talking about the structure of the team. I believe understanding these systems, defining these systems, will give us a common framework for understanding. When I see large or small inefficiencies in these systems, I would like your help fixing them. Whew. My wife hates this one. I heavily bias towards action. When you come to me with a situation, my first thing is how are we going? I am moving into a state where how can we fix this? Long meetings where we are endlessly debating potential directions are valuable. They are valuable. I don't like them. I believe that starting on the problem is the best way to start learning about what we need to do. This is not always the correct strategy. This strategy annoys the people who love to debate. It really, really annoys them. And it really annoys my wife because sometimes all that you want me to do is to listen. That's all that you actually want. If that's what you need out of me, and I'm happy to do that, you better tell me early, because I will try to solve every problem that you bring me as quickly as possible. That's how I work. I deeply believe in treating humans fairly, and it's my responsibility to do this in all of the systems that I am building. I believe that humans in general are trying to do the right thing, but unconscious bias leads us astray, because it's unconscious. That's what it does. You don't know that it's happening. I work very hard with support of a lot of people to understand and address my biases, because I'm very clear about their ability to create inequity at scale. It's my favorite slide in the whole deck right here. I like fixing things. I believe in the compounding awesomeness of continually fixing small things. The folks that like to have those big debates and big, huge strategy things, we need them doing that. I want to go fix 30 small things quickly. Pick the thing up off the floor. Tell someone the door is broken. Make sure you get that thing that I told I was going to give you. All of those things quickly. The compounding, you're underestimating the compounding awesomeness of this continually fixing small broken things. I believe quality assurance is everyone's responsibilities, and there are bugs to be fixed everywhere, all of the time. I believe busy is a bug and it's not a feature. If you're looking at me walking down the hallway and I appear busy, I am failing you as a leader. I am failing you as a leader. There's a lot of managers out there that equate busy with self-importance. Like, I'm going to walk fast and look like I have so much to do because, oh my gosh, I have so much to do. That's not leadership. That's drama. That's a show. My job, when I walk by in the hallway, is that you know that you can approach me and say, hey, Lopp, I have this thing. This thing's going on. I go, great, let's talk about that right now. This is a very, very hard state for me to get to because there is a lot of things going on. A lot of managers believe they're supposed to be busy, but when I find myself, or you tell me that I look busy, I begin an intensive debugging process of myself and then the team to figure out why we're busy. Someone should ask me about that in Q&A. I will fix it. I'm going to fix this situation because busy isn't productive. It's literally called busy work. That's what it is. It does sound incredibly boring. All right, there's an exception to many of the things in the process I was just talking about, which is high alert. To many of the things I'm talking about and things that you can expect out of me sometimes are just completely thrown on the floor when I'm in a high alert situation. High alert conditions usually involve existential threats to our business. During this time, my usual people, process, and product things are out the door. They're secondary to putting the fire out. I will do unless it's obvious, and it usually is that it's more on high alert, I will tell you that I'm in this state. And I will also tell you when I expect me to be out of this state. If I'm constantly in this state, something is fundamentally wrong. You should tell me this. I probably know it. Maybe I haven't actually admitted to myself yet. This is the I'm weird section. We're all kind of strange. Bet you didn't guess this. I'm an introvert. This is terrifying for me. This is exhausting for me. Prolonged exposure to humans is exhausting for me, but it's not a doctor's note. I understand that I'm this way. It's weird. But here's the thing. Meeting with like 3 of us, I am in the zone. I'm going to be this dynamic and doing all this sort of thing. 3 to 8 of us are okay. More than 8, I shut up. It's super strange. I am super quiet when it's more than 8. I tell the exec team at Slack this, and they're like, oh, that's why. Do not confuse my quiet with a lack of engagement. I'm just scared. It's one of my favorite things to do when I walk into any situation. I read the room. This is what I do because I'm an introvert and you're all scary human beings. So the quicker that I understand who you all are, and there's a lot of you here, but here's the trick. You're all just sort of this anonymous, blob right now, so it's not actually there. If I look at someone, I start to get nervous. So I'll go over here now, and then I'll go over here. Anyway, too much information. What I do is I get a read into the situation. What do you want? What's your motivation? What's your current mood? Where did you sit? Where did you sit last time? All of this is something that I do instinctively to protect myself because I'm an introvert. What am I building? I'm gathering one of my favorite 2 words, which is situational awareness. What's going on here? What I'm building is a model or a system for handling this particular meeting, interaction, or presentation. One-on-ones are very important to me. I think I've already hit this pretty hard. I always have a couple meeting discussion topics to have, or you have, because we've put them in the channel. Often, when we're out of topics, I will pick something off a list, and I will start brainstorming with you. And the issues are usually front-of-mind things, current disasters, emerging high alert situations. And it's going to feel like we're just shooting the shit, but we're actually doing real work. We're doing system analysis. You're helping me walk through a hard problem. Sometimes, I may ask you to do something during this state that feels poorly defined. You're like, was that an ask for me? You should ask me for clarification and a call on importance right then and there. I might be still brainstorming. I might be just freewheeling YOLO in it. It's like, hey, you should totally do that. No, you shouldn't do that. It's a really bad idea. These questions, these clarifications, when I'm kind of being a little hyper, will save everyone a lot of time. This should be obvious. I can be hyperbolic. It's almost always because I'm very excited about what I'm doing. I sometimes swear, I apologize in advance. I love to start new things. The most exciting part for any project for me is the first 10%. When we're defining the system, you should be sensing a theme now. When we're trying to understand what we need to do. But here is the problem, and this is a big problem for me. I often lose interest when I, not you, can mentally see the end of how we're going to do this weeks or months before we're actually done. I'm like, okay, this is how it's going to play out. And I lose interest. This is horrible. This is why I drop things after 2 weeks. It's not interesting because I know how it's going to play out. And that last 60, 70% is actually the most important part. I'm working on this a lot. I'm getting better at it, but I apologize in advance. If I'm on my phone for more than 30 seconds, say something. Really, I have this tremendously short attention span, and I will reach for my phone while you knowing it and get into something. Say, hey, Lopp, focus, man. Thank you, I will. Humans stating opinions of facts are a big trigger for me. I value your opinion, but if we're using your opinion as an input for a ginormous business decision, you should be prepared to effectively defend it. Your opinions should be defensible. We have feelings, we have opinions, but you need to be able to defend it and explain it to me or my team or your peers. This is a major trigger for me. I've seen multiple companies I've worked at get very political, and in looking at the system and figuring out how it works, gossip is almost always a leading indicator of toxic, horrible politics. I understand that gossip exists amongst the humans. I know that culture can affect the influence of gossip, and I know it's my responsibility as a leader to create a culture, a healthy culture, where gossip doesn't tweak us. However, I believe most underestimate the cultural toxicity that gossip creates. Most underestimate that gossip is a one-way door you open to corrosive organizational politics. Gossip is a leading indicator of larger problems. So when I hear it, when I read it, I'm triggered and I jump on it, sometimes disproportionately hard. Hi, my name is Michael Lopp. I didn't introduce myself. I've done some things. You might be wondering why this is called How to Rands. For those of you who don't know, I play this guy named Rands on the internet. Together with a couple of other 1,000 leaders, some of you who are in here, we've created this thing called the Rands Leadership Slack. Find us on the internet. It's going to be one of the best things that you're going to learn today, is that there's a set of folks who are here to help you and learn to be better leaders. We're on the internet, and you'll find it. The only operating requirement is, can you use email? That's about it. If you can do that and find us, you'll get in. One of the things I've learned from all those wonderful leaders there is what you've been hearing today, is we, as the leaders of humans, have a responsibility to clearly state who we are, how we work, and what we value. Our teams are spending way too much time speculating, reverse engineering, and second-guessing these topics. So take the time to write down and broadcast your practices, your value, and your strangenesses. I put mine in GitHub. I'm like, great, anyone who wants to use it. It's mine. It's just sitting in GitHub. You can take a look at it. It's going to sound really familiar because you just heard it. Use your judgment, whether these things that I'm saying are good are right for you and your team. And one more thing. I believe we are never, ever, ever done learning how to become better leaders. Every time that I think I've figured it out and I find a pattern or a workflow or a system, I find an exception. I find another beautiful, chaotic snowflake that just blows my mind. So my advice to you is ask for help from your peers, stay curious, and keep learning. Thank you.